Dear Art, I don't know if anyone else has suggested this, but 20 years ago, there was a book called The Interrupted Journey, an Incident at Exeter. It was about another fatal air crash in the Everglades as well, December 29th of 1972, called The Ghost of Flight 401. 101 passengers and crew were killed. Later, appearing on other aircraft, the flight engineer and some of the stewardesses, what went down was an L-1011, and I can tell you these stories are true. There have been ghosts from that crash, and one day when somebody I know retires from a major airline, a good friend of mine, I will have him on and have him tell you about all of this. He can't do it while he's employed. But the stories of the ghosts, I can tell you, are true. And there are stories about ghosts from that flight that have never been told, even in the movie they did on that subject. On the wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, Art. How you doing?
Just fine. Where are you?
I'm in Lexington.
Lexington, Kentucky. Excellent.
Got two stories for you.
All right.
One was when I graduated from tech school when I was in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
Me and a WAF boarded a plane in Chicago, and so she was telling me about the aircraft, and as we boarded, there was two pilots sitting in the back. And I said, we can talk to them, later on when we get airborne, because there was a technicality that she didn't quite understand on the aircraft.
Yes.
Well, the plane took off and everything, and the seatbelt deal came off, and I said, let's step back there and talk to them, and we looked around, and they were gone. So I said to the airline stewardess, I said, ma'am, where did the pilot go? She said, what pilot? I said, the two pilots in the back. And the girl sitting with me said, yeah, we've seen two of them. She said, wait right here, I'll be right back. And she ran and got two stewardesses to come back. She said, tell them exactly what you told me. And so I told her and told the other two, and the one started crying and got all upset, and they had to take her in the back. Do you recall the aircraft that crashed in the Everglades?
Very well, sir.
That's what part of that was.
Oh, God. I've heard a lot of stories like this, and I think there are many. I have a very good friend that works for a major company, which I can't name, and when he retires from this company, I'm going to have him on the air, and we're going to tell some of these stories. But you are exactly right. That particular crash...
I think it was Flight 401, wasn't it?
401 or 409.
They were chalky white looking, the individuals, but they looked solid.
Listen to me. I'm telling you, I've heard privately told, not for attribution, stories just like the one you're telling me right now, and it's going on to this day. Aircraft are haunted.
Oh, okay.
And it's because of that particular crash and a few others, and...
Well, they cannibalize the parts, don't they, and put them in the other aircraft?
You see, yeah, that's right. You see spirits that lose their lives unexpectedly, as in an air crash,
mm-hmm.
I think are the ones that tend to be troubled, possibly remain on this earth, possibly haunt at the location of their death, in this case, an aircraft.
Fresh from the crypt with another dose of the deadly Fear Box Files, Dossier of Death from Tabitha Carrington, available now at online retailers. Now more Art Bell.
Well, all right, Dan Aykroyd, David Sarita, both back. Dan, let me ask you a question. You've done your movies about ghosts, lighthearted stuff. Do you believe in them?
Oh, yes, absolutely. All one has to do is read the tremendous books that were out in the 70s and 80s about the ghost of Flight 401,
yes.
Lockheed L-1011 that crashed in the swamp in Florida.
You bet.
That is a compelling ghost story, and that's one I frequently tell around the fire here in Canada.
First-time caller line, you're on the air. Hi.
Well, hi there. This is Janice, and I'm from Oroville, California.
Hi, Janice.
And this story happened quite a few years ago when my family was living in Miami. One day, my mother, I have to back up to say that she was quite the psychic. And one day, my brother was preparing to go frogging in the Everglades during that night.
Mm-hmm.
And she begged him not to go. She said, please don't go. Please don't go. You can't go. And he said, what's the matter, Mom? And she says, there's going to be a plane crash.
Oh, my.
And he was not as much of a believer in my mother's powers as I was, of course. And when his friend came to pick him up to go frogging, she also begged him, please don't go out. There's going to be a terrible plane crash.
Hmm.
And sure enough, there was. This was the very famous flight. I believe it was Flight 410 that crashed in the Everglades many years ago.
Oh, my. Yes, I recall that.
And as you will recall then, if you're familiar with that one,
I am.
it is a haunted airliner.
Actually, airliners of the same airline are haunted by
that crew.
that crew. That's exactly right.
Exactly. Well, this even goes on that it became a book, and then it later on, my father was hospitalized, and he had a very nice crew taking care of him there in the hospital in Miami. And my mother had mentioned to the one nurse, and says, are you going to be on tomorrow as well? And she says, oh no, tomorrow's a big day. She says, we have all the family coming over. We've rented a large TV. They're premiering the movie of the Ghost of Flight. I believe it was 410. And
it was either 410 or 401. I can't.
401. I think. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was 401.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, it was my dad was on that crew. And
well,
it was
look, I can add to this. I can tell you, I have friends in the airline industry, and they will not talk because it's a good way to end a career.
Oh, yeah.
But they tell me there's no question about it. Stews and crews, pilots, co-pilots, have reported seeing crew members from that flight
exactly
on flights, and this has been going on, not told generally outside the airlines now for years. Eventually, when some of these people retire, we'll get the stories. I know some of them, but I promised, it is definitely going on.
What I have heard about that when they recovered certain parts and put them into other airlines to recycle different parts that were salvageable.
Yes.
That any plane that received parts from that flight ended up with crew members of the downed plane on it.
Well, I don't have any comment on that, but I thank you for the story, and I can verify without giving details that crew members of that flight have indeed been showing up on current flights.